Today we're going to be making a lemon cheesecake. So this is quite a favourite one that I have made with pupils before and seems to be a hit with parents and children. A lot of requests to make it again at home. So I'm going to run through the recipe with you today so that you know how to make a lemon cheesecake. We're going to start off, got all my ingredients ready here for today. They will be listed below the video. Any sort of plain type biscuits. Digestive is normally the traditional one. Couldn't actually get digestive biscuits this week, so I've got an oat-based biscuit instead. And butter and a small amount of sugar for the base. And then for the topping is cream cheese, creme fraiche, icing sugar, and then we've got the lemon and I've got some blueberries to put on the top. So first of all, we're going to start by making the base. So with the butter, I'm going to pop that into a pan, and that's going to melt on a medium heat, so that will help to incorporate all the ingredients together, bind them together so that when it puts it in the fridge it will set the base. Whilst that is slowly melting here, tucking my pan handle in for safety, I'm going to add my biscuits to a bowl. You can do this with a bag and a rolling pin as well. The problem is if you don't get the air out of the bag and you tie it, you can burst the bag, which can make quite a mess. So you can also just do this in a bowl, lightly crushing with the end of a rolling pin. So all I'm doing is aiming for each of the biscuits, trying to crush them up. When you think that they're getting close to all being crushed, give the bowl a bit of a shake and the lumpier biscuits will come up to the top. Try not to fire them all out. And once they are crushed, they're going to be ready then to be compacted into the bottom of a tin. The tin that I'm going to be using, ideally you want to use a loose baking tin, a loose bottom baking tin. I only have quite a large one of those, so I'm going to just be using a normal cake tin, but I'm going to be using some greaseproof paper at the bottom to help get out the cheesecake at the end once it is set in the fridge. So my biscuits are just about crushed now. Do this in real time. We're about there. And my butter is nearly melted. So let me just show you the cake tin. So I'm just using a large flan tin. I think I bought this traditionally to make a lemon meringue pie in, but you can get the loose base bottom ones which will pop out, which make it quite a lot easier. So what I've done instead is I've got a piece of greaseproof paper and I've just kept 2 tabs on it. I'm going to use my oil spray just to coat the bottom. All this is doing is holding that greaseproof paper down. And put the greaseproof paper in, and then it just leaves the 2 tabs sticking out. When that base is solid, I can then pop that out and we can lift it. So now I'm going to go to the butter. So what happens when the butter is completely melted, what we're going to add in is the biscuits and a small amount of sugar. Don't put a lot of sugar into there because obviously the biscuits already contain sugar, so it's just 25 grams. You can use brown sugar, demerara sugar's got quite a large grains, that can be quite nice for texture. I've just used caster sugar today, I've just used the sugar that I've got. So now that the butter is melted, I don't want to pour the butter into the biscuits, I'm going to put the biscuits into the pan, just because then all the mess, all the coating of the biscuits can all stay contained in that pan and we don't lose any of the butter. So on a pan stand, so that I don't burn my work surface, I'm going to just slide in the biscuits and the sugar together, trying to get them all in, and then I'm going to combine them. And you're just looking for a wet type texture with your biscuits, so they'll go slightly darker. And the whole idea of that butter, as I said before, is so that once it's all coated and then you pop it back in the fridge, it will stick it all together. It will bind that base so that it creates a solid, crunchy base for the cheesecake. So, biscuits are done here, all combined with the butter. Simply going to tip them into the base of the cake tin, scraping in so we don't waste any. Obviously, if you've got a smaller tin, then it may be that you want to use slightly less of the biscuit mixture. And then with the back of a spoon, you really want to compress this down so that those biscuits are really, really crushed together and pressed together to give that really solid base. And the idea is now that we pop this into the fridge to set. so that when we put the next layer on, we're not dragging those biscuits up. So this is going to spend about 15 minutes now in the fridge, and then once I'll prepare the topping with you, and then we'll add them together. So now that the base has been in the fridge for about 10 minutes, I'm just going to quickly make the topping, and then we're going to put it all together. So, starting off, I'm going to add in the cream cheese. Now, the cream cheese is probably the one with the lumpiest of textures. You can put them all in together and then mix it, but it's often recommended just to smooth out the cream cheese first before we add in the other ingredients. So, just lightly whisking it before I add in the creme fraiche, which just adds a little bit more of a creamy element. You could use double cream here, you could use a Greek yogurt as well, just to mix in with the cream cheese. So mixing those in. Often a little bit of a mistake sometimes with my pupils is they forget the icing sugar. With the icing sugar, that obviously turns it then from a savoury into a sweet flavour. The icing sugar is really good because this is just a cheesecake that we put in the fridge to chill, and it's not cooked. It's got that really fine dusty grain, which means that you don't feel that gritty type texture in the smooth topping. So again, all I've got to do is just whisk that in, and that is the topping made. Now, I'm doing a lemon cheesecake today with a fruit topping. If you wanted to do a chocolate cheesecake, you could add the melted chocolate in at this stage instead of the lemon, or a cocoa powder. You could put that into here, or even you could do a caramel. You could stir caramel into it as well. So that, now you could add different toppings in. We're going to go with the fruit one. So I'm just going to set that to one side and show you how to prepare the lemon. So the lemon needs zesting first of all. So we're going to use a finer grate on the side, and we're going to zest, just keeping our fingers and our knuckles out of the way. And you just want to zest until it goes white. You don't want to keep going to see the flesh, the inside of the lemon. You just want to turn it each time. So you think about going up and down 3 or 4 times and then turning. And we want the zest of that whole lemon, and that's going to be there really for flavour. That's going to add that real tang to the cheesecake mixture. Then inside we're going to use the juice. The juice adds a little bit of flavour, but the juice is also our science. The juice is an acid, it's citric acid inside lemons, limes, oranges, any of those that you use. When you add that juice to a protein like cheese, it denatures the proteins inside, and what happens with that is it changes the texture, and it essentially thickens and helps it to set, because the citric acid changes it, denatures, and that's what changes the overall appearance, and it goes thicker. So zest is done. I need to tap down the cheese grater, wipe inside, and that zest will go into the bowl. Then the lemon, fridge hold, cutting through. You can use a juicer if you want to, but your hand also works as a very good juicer. The idea of the juice is they collect the seeds, so we can catch the seeds through the hand, and we want to squeeze the lemon juice from both sides in. So there's one done, put that in there, and the other one through, keeping the seeds in my hands. And then I'm going to add in that zest, and we are going to just whisk that in lightly. That acid will start to thicken the cheese as it denatures the proteins, and that zest will be there for flavour. Now it will still be quite a pouring consistency to start. We do want the fridge to set it. So I'm going to get my base back out now, just make my area a little bit more tidy. So the base now is quite set, nice and hard, so hopefully as I add the mixture in, it won't then start to be roughed up, and we can finish the cheesecake and add the decoration. So I've got a palette knife or a spatula that's just going to smooth the surface of the cheesecake, but to start with we're just going to use the whisk and the bowl to just start to pour the mixture in. So I'm just scraping the bowl from one side and allowing it to almost find its own natural level. It is quite a runny mixture at this point, so it will find its natural level anyway. So once that's all in, the drips go off, I can then give it a little bit of a wobble and then just smooth off any of the edges, going all the way around, very careful. It's often a good thing to move the container rather than the palette knife to smooth that off. And then all I'm going to do is add the blueberries at the end once this is set, and that is your cheesecake complete. I would leave it for approximately an hour to 2 hours before serving.